Hello community, it's Pablo Vazquez here live from home. We're still at home, but we are working because this week has been all over the place for Blender. We had from Blender 2.83.3 release, then 2.90 became beta, the 2.91 became alpha. So much to talk about, and there is a Q&A also. But for that, I got a guest here that you can probably hear in the background. Let's give it up. let's make some noise for the live.
Hey, yes. Pablo. Hey everyone.
Hello. We can see your head.
Oh.
How are you?
Good, good.
So better
yeah, sorry, I decided last minute to change the standing desk, and then some cable is making my monitor to fall.
Who cares? We're just happy to see you. We're just happy to see you. It's been a couple of weeks we didn't see you. I was all alone by myself here in this new format of Blender.Today, where we answer the questions that people have been posting on Blender.Today. The link is in the description where you can read more or the questions that we're going to be answering. And not towards the end of the show, actually, it's just now in a moment. The questions that we're going to be answering are the ones that top most questions. I made the thread a few days ago and there are already 73 questions, but comments, not questions, because many of them, thanks community, they are replying to each other. So some of them get, we can actually answer with you know, when I don't know how to answer. The community has been helping me to answer those questions. But you're here today, so we can talk about life. You are back. You were two weeks away from Blender development. Did you catch up? Do you know what's going on?
I did. It's been my first Monday and Tuesday and whatnot. And of course, the reason I decided was 2 weeks of holiday, but then I decided to come back in time for the BCon 3.
Yes.
Because it's beta time. So
it's beta time, it's alpha time, it's all the time. You go to download developer.blender.today. You're gonna see that we are now in 2.83.3 for people using the LTS. We are in 2.90 for the beta warriors, and we are 2.91, which still doesn't have any new features, any like big new features added yet, which is good because it means developer can focus on bug fixing. It's like the developers, but you should do it for bug fixing and bug reporting for the users. All right, let's get to it right away. Do you have any announcements to make though, by the way?
No, just the beta is the biggest announcement, and whenever you go to the BCon 3, it's when you do the final decisions on what makes and what doesn't make in 2.90. And then that's, I mean, as far as new goals, that's what it goes, right? We know that the particles won't be in 2.90.
Yeah.
We also decided to hide for the final release, probably for the beta next week also, the experimental features UI.
Yep.
Just to not confuse the users. So the whole functionality for sculpting, vertex painting won't be there for people that are already trying. But again, go back to master, go back to the daily builds. Anyone that early adopters can still join. And it's mostly the news, like the things that are making or not making. But
yeah,
I think it's all good.
It's all good. So for people that want the bleeding edge, you can still get 2.91, but the features that were experimental in 2.90 are not going to be there anymore. All right. Oh, maybe what a little announcement is that we have new jobs posted. So if you are watching and you are either a senior backend developer, if you are like maybe for the Blender cloud development, like web stuff, or if you want to make amazing tools for making film, for like browsing the cloud, for sharing, just want to make the next platform for open production, you are very welcome. Writer, editor, and blogger also. If you wanna, especially if you're Dutch, that is gonna help a lot because we have some paperwork to do in Dutch, but also writing, you know, like the blogs and the social media as well, which I am doing at the moment, but I will love to have a hand. But also like blog posts, we have a section here for like user stories that could get some love, and in general, writer is welcome, and the developer community coordinator, which you can talk more about.
Yes, we're looking for someone with some proven experience with open source communities that can help us to nurture, to maintain, to make it grow the online contributors community, but also even the core developers who are working online. How do we all collaborate? Whether the tools we have are working, what can be done to get more people on board, make sure this is not a burden to the existing team. How can we make sure that new developers can help new developers to have the developer community to thrive.
Thrive. I love that word. Thrive.
And this is interesting. This is the one job that doesn't need to be in Amsterdam. We actually would rather have someone in a different time zone to cover more of the possible.
Even.
Yeah, because we want to cover the online community, and then we have so many people already in the European time zone. That'd be nice something in the Americas, Australia, Brazil, USA, Canada. So
Argentina.
If you know someone, if you know some project that you think is well managed, just send it to their.
Just send it. Exactly. Take it away from that well-managed project and send it to Blender. Awesome. But yeah, for the other ones, it will be much better if you can come to Amsterdam. And I forgot to mention that if you're a backend developer and in Amsterdam area or the Netherlands or are willing to move to this beautiful city, please consider. All right. First question of the day. Let's switch gears. 14 Arianudin asks, or says, mentions, I wanted to ask, can we have a little shout out to this open source project? Of course we can shout out open source projects. Material Maker. It is used to create procedural textures, similarly to Substance Designer. Here's some stuff I've done with it. Ooh.
I didn't know. I was reading the comments
patterns.
And people said that I think you showed this already in a previous. Oh, no, that was a different one.
I may have shown it.
I'm actually super curious to see. It's the first time I hear about it.
But where is the link?
There's a link to the Blender artist thread.
Okay.
Which in turn must have a link.
Must have a link. Wait, it's loading all the advertisement. Here. No, it's a here to the top.
I found the oh, the whole thread is about the Material Maker.
Yeah, but they're pointing to drive.google.com, not somebody point to the website, please. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. Material. Here. Rodzilla, itch.io. Oh, it's like in the game platform. It's based on Godot engine. Materials are defined as graphs where nodes create or transform textures. It can be exported for the Godot, Unity, and Unreal game engines. Most nodes are defined as GLSL shaders and then connecting to them. Material Maker will generate combined shaders for each node. It's also possible to create new nodes, either by combining or grouping. Ooh, so this could be used with, yeah, in Blender, I guess. OSL? No, it's GLSL. No, you can't quickly just like
No, we can't. We cannot have a. No, we need to save it as textures and then plug to the Uber shader.
Okay, so it needs a little work.
Unless I don't know, maybe they did it in a way that can actually.
Yeah, but it's open source, so maybe someone already made a kind of, and it's been committed 6 days ago, so it's very active. Maybe someone can write a little thingy for Blender, and it's available for Linux. Try.
Yeah.
I want to try first.
Been around for some time already, more than a year at least. Checking their GitHub.
Awesome, cool. I'm gonna check it out later. I'm gonna download it now.
MIT.
Awesome. So yeah, absolutely a heart, and I'm gonna take the link and share it on the chat for our viewers right here. Blender is live in the chat. Why can't we just add it to Blender? Because you can't just like grab a thing and just plug it into Blender. It's based on Godot, which is a completely different software.
It's a standalone. Like someone's like, hey,
it's a standalone, yeah.
Blender merge hype. Like,
it's like asking other, yeah.
But it's a good, maybe they had a good enough design that actually this part can be totally used as a foundation to something in Blender, and the developer would like to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, in those cases it's not as simple. It's like, why don't we have Krita in Blender? It's like, look. That would be awesome. You can just plug in things, everything as a Docker, All right, topic suggestion for a future live stream. The next question says, over on right-click select the community of proposals, there are 77 marked as in development. Pablo, could you ask the many Blender Foundation developers as possible to go look at some of those 77 things and give you a one-sentence progress report on it?
That could be a nice, maybe a proposal. I said maybe it could be the live stream, going over and there, and then you replying.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, the fact that it's in development, it doesn't mean that there is a Blender Foundation developer working on it. It can be.
Let's see.
It can
check all tags
in development. So all the status in development.
Oh, status.
Arabic support. Fatter scroll bar in file browser. Hey, I thought it was done.
We're supporting Arabic language.
We are supporting already, right?
Well, but not. You only support for the UI.
But not left or right.
Not when you actually have to write it.
Okay.
Because we pre-process all the translation files to pre-flip them.
Yeah. What is the trimming tool seen in Pablo Dovaro's sculpting video? This is not a proposal, man or girl. This is a question. That's bad. You should just make a proposal. Come on. Downvote.
So people maybe are just abusing the in development tag a little bit.
Yeah.
Which will make for another interesting
live stream
edition.
Yeah. We need more moderation there.
No one is nice.
Next question. Rex Kungolos. Hi Pablo, possible guest. Yes, Talai. Just wanted to ask if there is a way for a user to know how a feature is supposed to work before it's officially documented. Is there a way?
Yes, if you follow features are developed so that the developer think about the design and propose the design ideally, and then the design is approved, and then start developing. So we have and then the code is revealed. So there's this thing we call a patch, and if you follow the Blender, honestly, if you follow the Blender weekly, dev meeting logs in DevTalk, so the Monday meetings, you can see like what just was added to Blender. So if you click there in the feature that was added that week, usually it points you back to the original design, and you can read some documentation before it makes the final. Or since every single feature that makes into Blender is also added to the release notes, you can go to the release notes, and usually there'll be a link there to the manual, or at the very least to the commit. The basic explanation.
At least, yeah. So at least that's the minimum. In some cases there will be pictures. In some cases there will be amazing little GIF images, even like all the new UV tweaks that people should be raving about, because they've been asking about for a while. So we should also celebrate this stuff, that all the fixes and improvements that are being done on the UV editor for 2.90 already. Next question. So yeah, that was your answer. That the release notes, hopefully manual, or the commit. Kian Nguyen. Hi Pablo. When using the graph editor, I noticed that having to click the panel on the side is slow, or select a keyframe in the graph editor when there are multiple keyframes on top of one another. To select a curve is quite annoying. So being able to select the curve by just box selecting or clicking part of the curve will be a huge time saver. For being able to select the curve, actually, well, I haven't opened. I have the splash screen here with the new 2.91. This is the first time I opened 291 here. So in the graph editor, actually, you do have a way to select the curves, which is just by clicking on the side. So So you can select by double clicking, and then you'll select all the points there. So you can do this or that, and then double click and it'll select all the points. Is that what you by box? Yeah, maybe box selecting inside of like somewhere in the curve would be neat. The problem is that I see it can be confusing if you have too many curves on top of another. And yeah, make a proposal. There are so many corner cases that can go wrong. Do you want to read this one?
Yes. I don't know if you're on the same page.
Good. Well, they are sorted by votes.
Hi Pablo. Yes. Hi Pablo. Godot 4, but these people replied already. So basically, Godot 4 is super early alpha support for so-called SDF-based global illumination. I don't even know what SDF stands for. It's probably simple distribution function.
Signed distance field global illumination.
And
it wasn't an Apple developer that named this.
It's a great feature and whatnot. And since it's MIT and Godot, when do we get to see that in Blender or Eevee? And I think you said already, right, Pablo, a few weeks ago that let's wait for Godot to see how does that pan out and if people really got to use it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then we get to, of course, it's compatible with Blender. However, I don't know if is this technique something that the Godot developer?
Yeah, it's a novelty. Actually, the developer Juan Linieski on his Twitter, he's been sharing the whole process, even from for a year, all the Vulkan transition, and then for a big part of it, how he was developing this, and then tests how different approaches work, and this is what it came up with. So yeah, it looks amazing, but it will be nice to see how it works. Also because I don't know if it relies heavily on Vulkan for it, because they are now using it.
That's true.
Maybe it could be, I don't know. There are so many questions, and also it's just too early. It's like asking Godot to add Eevee like last year, 2 years ago, when it wasn't even done yet. Next question, Jimian. Hi Pablo and Dalai. Is there any chance that we'll one day have the bake we're seriously missing to finally make pro and PBR textures like metallic, curvature, vector displays? Yes, one day.
One day we will have. We will definitely have. That's no questions about it. But it's currently not in the roadmap, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but it's like Retopo. Yeah, one day we're gonna have proper Retopo tools.
Well, because we don't, because of Eevee, there's. Because for Blender, if you're using Blender from the end to end, you don't really need to bake with Eevee because the whole thing is already baked. So it's different when it comes to cycles. That it's kind of similar as well.
Yeah.
But cycles maybe wanted to bake so that you could optimize something. And
on the other hand, if you have cycles, and if Eevee is so fast, you could bake in Eevee and then use it on cycles, and then it's like you save even more time. Some things, not everything.
Wouldn't you go the other way around? Bake in cycles, something that it really needs, like a ray tracer AO and whatnot, and then you go to Eevee.
Yeah, but it cycles slow. It's not slow, it's slower than. Anyway, let's continue. So yeah, we need it. Eventually it will be there, but there are other priorities at the moment.
Pablo, question for you.
Oh, all right.
On Hanzata Heri. Hello. With the upcoming everything nodes, we will have a new particle system. Finally.
Yes.
Another question. We will. Will that system also allow us to use one setup to influence different channels or domains? For example, let's say we have a particle system and use that setup to emit and add fire or fluid.
Yes.
So what's going to be the integration between the metaflow, the fluid, the fire, and particles?
Yes. Yeah. That's the whole idea, is that the experimental new particle system will allow you to have to connect different simulations, basically. So you have a simulation and then you can connect the other ones, and you can connect one to another. So yeah, not showing anything, actually, just showing the button. I do not know how to use it yet. So all right, this one is for you. Any plans for Cycles or Eevee to get support outputting deep image data, including deep EXRs for compositing?
Well, we had plans in the past, but I don't think it's in the. If you go to the module, I don't think it's listed there, is it?
In the compositing, let's see.
I think it's it's not in the foreseeable future. I think we still mentioned this in the long-term column.
What is a compositor even?
It's on that part of the VFX.
VFX or which is confusing because it's also nodes. So.
You should have a task about the depth compositing
performance. Yeah, no. Is there a task about deep compositing?
We used to have.
I don't know. It was very hip time ago, some years ago, and then at least on the Blender world, not other people continue talking about it.
Because I think they're not interested, or
I don't know. I don't know.
It.
Then maybe the focus moved into like having, I don't know, OpenBDV, and then the focus moved into having USD, and then the focus moved into having Alembic, and it's all over the place. Thin Soldier asks, no, wait, you have to.
Oh,
are there?
You know, we have different orders here. But Thin Soldier asks, are there any plans to improve 3D text in Blender? Different softwares, they have like way better 3D text, even if they're 2D softwares. So
Night Dodge.
So for instance, ability to do chiseled bevel on the face of any font and export as blah blah blah. So how come we have these in some to-do tools and not even in Blender? I've spent the last year and a half trying to convince some graphic designers to join the Blender party.
Yay!
And all I've done is to make them want to buy yet another 3D package.
Yes.
Because of then other 3D packages have a better, strong support for this. Well,
and then a video.
There are plans in terms of to help the ease of use, such as, you know, while you're editing text in Blender, you could just quickly have more like you know, industry standard way to change something's bold or italic or underlined. But I don't think we don't have anyone actively working on that, on adding more features to this. It's super welcome though.
Yeah.
You know, any developer interest.
The text improvement, but there are bevel improvements and Boolean improvements. So this is just a matter of someone that knows how to do it to actually put everything together, I think. Yeah. So any plans? No, I don't think. Who's even the module owner of the 3D object?
It's a bit of Campbell, a bit of me, but it's just one of those modules where there's no one actively expanding the functionality.
Yeah, so we need someone with a passion for 3D text to take over.
Let's join the Blender team.
Join the Blender team. We need you. Pipeliner says, "Hi Pablo, I hope you have a different order, by the way."
I do, but I can read your screen thanks to your new setup.
We can just refresh at the same time.
Okay, one, two, three.
And now is when the website is down because there's just too many people. Now,
everyone watching.
Holy crap! 91 comments. All right, so let's move on. Where were we? It's actually different order. Yes. So let me see if I have hearts on everything. No. Actually, one of the questions popped all the way up. So let's answer this one with the Penguin Burger. Actually, man, these Q&As are getting popular lately. Look at the amount of comments. Yes, crazy. And you know what? I didn't even tweet about this live stream. I didn't even tweet about the thread either. Like, I wanted to do an experiment. What happens if I don't do any social media at all? And this is what happens. We get 600 people watching and 90, almost 100 comments, which is good experiments. It means that we don't need a social community manager. All right. Man, these Q&As are getting popular. Yes, I'm wondering if you know of a method to smooth polish out the edges in sculpt mode by masking out only edges of a hard surface model. I can apply a mesh filter, smooth, surface smooth, all that, to get this nice look. Except I keep running into this problem where I'm getting pinching along my edges. Screenshots link below. Do you have any suggestions how to smooth my edges to create bevels in sculpt mode without getting this terrible pinching? I would suggest, well, let's see the tweet, but I would suggest using the sharpen, because if you smooth and then sharpen, this could help actually. The sharpen tool, you're gonna find it if you go to the I didn't have that. How to call it? Blender 2.83 and then 83 release notes, and then if you go to the sculpt section, you're gonna find the mesh filter. It's a mesh filter called sharpen, which can take these jaggy edges and then make it into nice buttery smooth surfaces, plus keeping the edges. So try it.
Maybe what they want is a way to do it semi-automatically because you already mapped the edge.
Interesting.
So then you probably want to do it in modeling, not in sculpting, but you don't, because you don't have the multi-res data in modeling.
Yeah, but if you have a ton of vertices. Next question without hearts is for you. Your answer is by Prasenyiranand.
Good evening, sirs. A few questions.
Yes.
Wow. There are softwares that can export per light AOV with the same or single render, but in Blender I have to use view layer. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Is there any other way to do the same with view layer?
Per light AOV with same single render. Oh yeah, that no, there is per light AOV. You can you can use AOVs. If you're, I think we are talking about cycles here, because
Eevee still doesn't have AOV support.
No, but actually there is a patch by Jeroen, which is almost done, ready. So I think it's for 2.81. Maybe we could have it if you're watching.
I don't think it's
Jeroen. Hey, why not? He always says when we're in the kitchen in the morning, it's like, hey, nice show. Oh, thank you.
Oh,
it's very nice. Well. Yeah. So thank you, Jeroen Bakker, for bringing joy to Blender. What else was I talking about? Cycles AOV.
The camera froze on the streaming, Pablo.
Oh, sorry. It's because I don't have two screens at home anymore, so I actually have you in a little floating screen here, and when I leave it unattended for a while, this thing is too smart and it tries to not to save memory by not updating it. Anyway, you don't care. AOBs in the here filters, data, light, shader AOB. You can have a shader AOB, but not a custom. Not on a light basis. So you have to use vertex view layer. Sorry. Second question: is there any way? Well, actually, you have to.
I was asking how to change the. Anyways, second question is there any way to save previewing? What is IPR?
IPR. What is IPR? IPR.
Like lots of
IPR.
Is there any way to save previewing
window.
IPR, like viewport render, like slots in final render?
Interactive preview render. Who named this thing? It's just called render viewport. Interactive preview render. That's because they had non-interactive preview render. Ha! You see, there is a flaw in the design. Blender Cycles was born interactive. Do you remember the first Cycles experiment?
The one of the first Cycles now.
First Cycles experiment by Brecht. Well, I don't even know if I'm gonna find it here, but Blender Cycles code of Blender.org, I think. That's where you can find the first Cycles. I don't know. I'm not gonna find it, but it's a thread from the very first implementation by Brecht. Anyway.
Another question: how to make displacement map without multi-res? You can't. It's not supported yet, but it's in the agenda. Hopefully, Brecht is gonna do it soon. Like I said, it's probably gonna take like 2 days to do it. So, coming this year.
Yes, I found the thread. Sorry, 2011, April 23rd. Brecht van Lommel says, in May, I'm starting to work for the Blender Institute again. Besides maintenance bug fixing, my target will be modernizing the shading and render system. Tan tan tan. And then, I do think there is still a place for a small studio production render engine that sits between a render engine with a focus on complete realism and a totally programmable, customizable other engine style. I've been working on a new engine called Codename Cycles. Huh. Look at that, codename. Got really far. But yeah, there was another video here where, yes, I can't find it, but he had a video where he would show like the very first steps. Anyway,
I remember the first SIGGRAPH when you got to get the sample files. There's so many nice ones.
It's amazing.
Ball by Daniel Salazar. The house in the cliff was super nice. The BMW was already at that time.
What?
The BMW was already there.
Yeah, I hate that. Why are we using, like, there's amazing artists out there making actual original cars and stuff. Why are we using an actual brand? Anyway, unless they are sponsoring the brand. And then I'm making a big mistake here. But I don't think they are here. No, they're not. Alright, how to make displacement without multi-res?
And so it cannot at the moment, but last question using graph editor. There's a ghost, curve,
yes,
or curve snapshot.
Yeah.
Is there any way to switch between main and ghost? I have no idea.
No, the ghost is automatic made by the last step you did. So yeah, no, there's no way. Hi Pablo, that feature was I asked for it to Allegorith and he made it. Super nice. It's like thank you Allegorith. It was hard to describe, but basically I was trying to clean some curves. So instead of asking for a tool to clean curves, I was basically asked for a way to remove keys and then see the shape of my previous previous curve before I started editing. So it's like, maybe you could have it in the background. Yeah. So now we have both. Pipeliner says, I hope you're doing great. There is one thing I noticed regarding the Compositor. It doesn't have nodes for adding noise and grain. Yes, we also noticed this in all the 14 open movies we made. This should be in the software and not an add-on. And there are several add-ons for that. I would like to use this platform to shout out to any developer in this community who has the potential of adding this feature. Would it be possible to reuse the nodes from the shader editor? You can use...
Probably. The code, some of the code, yes.
Yes, you can. The problem is that the moment you ask... So for every open movie, I think I can remember, we've been asking this feature. There were other priorities always, and there was this issue of, okay, where's the limit? What kind of grain do you have? Is it... or its settings, what is the style? Do you actually want to have an image that is real film grain, or is it fake? Fake looks too fake. So yeah. Okay. Also, like, why are you trying to render noise free and then you add noise? It's like, you wouldn't understand. Like the meme. Okay. There are several add-ons, but I'm with you here. We need this kind of feature. Next question. Frod Crack Studio.
Oh, Pablo. Can Blender get all of some of the following options?
This is cheating. Many questions in one.
Multiple question. Option to disable multi-object editing? Why?
No.
No options. Options are bad. When you press Alt key to make a key on the timeline. Why?
When you press auto keying, it make a key on the timeline. Yeah, but that's what it does now. You press auto keying and then you move the guy and then.
But then you have to move. I think the problem is why doesn't it create a key right on the first, right when you click on it?
It will be so annoying then, because if you want to first go to that one frame and then you enable, no, No, it shouldn't add. This is not a keyframe. This is not an operation. It's a toggle.
It's an option. So opt that.
No option.
Option to disable the keyframe menu.
So when you press I, it will make a key for all that work for all type of animation. Yeah, you can use keying sets for that. Once you have a keying set, like all the available, then it just adds. You see, I'm pressing the I, and then you're gonna see a new keyframe. I. So you just need to use the keying sets here. Next.
And finally, the ability to select curves in the graph editor.
I mentioned it before, so it's just double click on the curve and it selects the whole curve.
There you go. Thanks so much. I love the show. Keep it up with the great work.
Thank you. And again, the multi-object editing option maybe could be, maybe not.
Yeah,
especially.
It really need to understand what do you want, why is this bothering you, and
maybe fix that issue. But also probably the main issue, the main source of this annoyment is that it wasn't like that in 2.7. Hi Pablo. Yes. By the way, about having multiple questions, it is kind of cheating in a way. Especially if the questions are too long. So maybe what we could do, to be fair to everybody, is that when you have many questions, just make many comments. So people that have the same question can just upvote it and then just reply multiple times. Fine.
Right. And maybe the rule can be you just reply to the first question of the multi question.
No replies.
I'm not reply at all.
No, because if you reply yourself, then the one question is gonna be to the top. We only sort by the top level question. Next question. Thanks for keeping the Q&A sessions alive. I really like the format. Thank you. You know what else I like? The Voxel remesher modifier. More than sliced bread. Sliced bread is overrated.
We have a sliced bread every day here in the institute, so
yeah, we have tons sliced. Today, well, he said the bread was sliced with love, and it's true. You went there, and it was like super perfect, all the same width. And all right, 2 questions. One, sometimes I accidentally reduce the voxel size too much. Do you know how to stop the modifier execution before Blender crashes? No, actually, so he's talking. She's talking, he's talking, it's Shift R gives you this operator. So when you execute this, it doesn't do anything. It's like it just sets the number. But and then you can go back when it's 0.01. Hey, this is a bug. I found a bug. Pablo, you watching? Yeah, so if you go too low, then you have to set it again, and it just clamps it. So maybe it should go there, and then now it's fine. Oh, but it's relative, you see.
It's talking about the modifier, Pablo, not the sculpt operator. But the bug is legit. The bug is legit.
Bug is legit, yes. Okay, so I found a bug unintentionally. Then the voxel remesh. Sorry, I was too excited. So what's the problem again? Do you know how to stop? Oh, yeah. No, there is no way to stop it. And I wish Blender, after you reach a point, it will be like, hey guys, girl, you are pushing it too far. There is no way I'm gonna handle this. So please stop. Is there a way to do that? Like the soft surf also modifier, you can just go nuts if you add a soft surf modifier.
The soft surf modifier as well. I mean, you could have better defined soft UI limits, the range the user set without having to manually, and that's a way of doing it. Yeah. So for people that don't know Blender, people should know that by now. The Blender, you can slide the values and hits a limit, but in some cases you can still click on it and type and go beyond the limit.
Yes.
So this is what I call the soft and the hard UI limiters.
Yes, like for example render. So if you go to render percentage, this 0 to 100 is a soft limit, but if you click and you go to 500, then this becomes the limit. Now you can go 5, but if you leave it somewhere in like 200, then it claps it to the top. If you go to less, and then there you go, it becomes
we have like a really low like a really simple soft limit, like for subsurf limit of 2. And if you try to do more than 2, then it has a hey.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
4 is good enough. But for like yeah, who goes to level 6 of surf in one go?
People that don't know better.
Yeah, but the voxel modifier should have that, and it's a one-liner to change it, so it's very simple. I don't know which.
There's an update. Sorry, there's an update from Clement. He just said that he actually has seen this Godot technology, the SDF-based real-time global illumination. However, it doesn't feel as a good fit for Eevee, so stay tuned.
Cliffhanger. Why is not a good?
I don't know, but maybe it's an interesting topic in the future.
It is an interesting topic. Yeah, a game engine is not the same as a 3D software. Next question: is there any way of quickly joining a bunch of meshes without a modifier? No need for bool, like Ctrl J, but with a modifier. This way, I could remesh the modifier so it would still be able to move each object separately. And yes and no. Yes, there is in live, but not in Blender Master at the moment. If you go to graphical.org, the 15-year-old community, see 2005, the 15-year-old community that brings you builds by the community and for the community, you're gonna find that there are a few branches, in particular the one from Bone Studio, I think, which has the voxel remesh modifier with multiple here moving boolean objects. So you can, okay, there's something that doesn't work, but basically from the voxel modifier you can add objects and they will perform boolean operators from it or something like that. Last time I checked, it was a long time ago, but basically it's a better version of the voxel modifier that has this exciting new feature, or using VDV even. And next question that is for Yao. Sir?
Sir? What? Sorry?
Why Blender does not have a drop-down for the text fonts like most software's applications?
Because no one has implemented it.
Because no one has implemented it yet. Yeah, it's a hidden miss for Linux, I bet, because Linux has many places where you can store the fonts. But Blender could be try and be smart. Like probably when this was added time ago, it wasn't even it wasn't so clear. But now I think the GIMP does it pretty well. Inkscape does it also pretty well, I believe. So if you type this is Inkscape and then they give you a drop down and you get all the colors of the rainbow, which is a bit slow to render, but it's really everything, and it's getting it from I don't know where.
I think there's not a problem per se, but for Blender, you know how in Inkscape or traditional software, if you save the file with this font but you didn't embed the font, now you're gonna have to choose what to do, use a placeholder font or not. So the problem is with Blender, everything that's, the moment they do this, you need to embed the font inside the Blender file. So you could send to the render farm, so you can send to.
Yeah.
And then it's not the end of the world, just that it's not just a drag drop down menu. You need an interface. So you want the font, I want to add a font from the system. I think that's what we wanted. But people usually want to quickly preview before committing to that font.
Yeah.
So
where's the limit though?
It's probably doable. It just needs a more design than it seems like.
One thing we could do though is to maybe check where the fonts are. At least if you're on Linux, it's very common that it will be like home, and then could be like .font or like something more a bit more predictable. So I think it's .font fonts anyway, or local fonts or many fonts. The next question.
I can do next question. Lucas Babravicius asked, in July 22nd,
2 days ago.
Last, right? 2 days ago. The Blender 2.83.3 came out. The 2.90 is in beta, and 2.91 is alpha. Well, master, right? We
Yes.
can call 2.91 yet.
How is that possible?
How is that possible?
Magic.
Magic and
Lot
we're,
of work.
Really, a lot of work. We're bound to like more strict release schedule this year, even last year. Trying to really stick to having 4 releases in a year, and there's no pandemic that's going to get on the way of our drive. But of course, it's also possible because the community is growing, the support for Blender is growing. So, for instance, the LTS is only possible because we believe there's going to be a demand, and there's going to be something that's going to be commercially viable to keep, dedicated team to keep, publishing 2.83, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So
yeah,
I think that's how it's possible. So a team that's dedicated, people getting behind it, keeping the cash flow coming.
Exactly. And also because if you look at the how Blender is developed, all the releases last the same amount of time, except the LTS, which also it's the same period, but it will get fixes for 2 years. Then at some moment 2.83 came out a time ago, so this is what people are using currently, but at the same time 2.90 has to be developed, and then it will come out, and then 2.91. The thing is that it's not like you just release and then you start working in the next version. When you start at some point you had to stop adding new stuff and prepare that release. At the same time 2.91 is actually starting. There is in the wiki there is you made an image, right?
Yes, we have on with the overlapping release cycles.
Yeah.
If you go to the developer.blender.org and you click on the 2.90, for instance, and you click on the down, up, on the information about up. Information
here. This is the drawing that I was looking for. So this is beautiful. This is what you need to see. This is one Blender release cycle. Then at some point the bug fixing starts, but the next project already starts in a branch, and that's a magic. That we are in the middle. We are right here. Now we are over here because Beacon 3 started a few days ago, which means that 2.90 it's getting ready to be released. 2.91 is here, but then what this drawing is missing is a whole layer on top of the LTS that is happening at the moment, which is
the other image you showed, right? The LTS overlap.
Yes, exactly. Next question. I see Pablo Navarro being the person that keeps adding very cool features, but does he have a roadmap right now? I would love to see what he's working on. And here the answer.
That's a pretty good question. Oh. Carry on.
No, that in the answer actually here, Helge pointed the sculpt, paint, and texture.
So the cloth brush is going to get some attention. Again, brush management is going to be one of the big topics to be tackled afterwards. And as you mentioned, like that covers it. For instance, the sculpt vertex painting, which was postponed for 2.91. But as you see, it wasn't even planned to be finished for 2.90 anyway. So for every module, you can go to developer.blender.org, go to the module page, and then you see the medium-term roadmap. But also, if at some point Pablo decides to make something awesome on a weekend or at some point because he just wants to have it. All the features he's adding, or he made this physically based brushes, or there is a brush where you can paint light brush. No, this I didn't see.
This is you were not around. This is
offline.
Basically you can paint. You should set up some lights, and then you can paint that lighting onto the object. The example is without texture, so I don't know how it's gonna work with that. But for example, this is impossible to put it in the roadmap. It's not It is just something that just happens. So
R&D is like,
yeah, exactly, and this is the beauty of open source, that you can get these things, and not only Pablo, but someone else can be like a Pablito Dobarrito, another guy somewhere in else, which decides to make this feature, and then it becomes part of Blender, and then it's awesome. We all have it, but it wasn't necessarily planned as part of this. This is important, of course, because people that are actually putting money in Blender, like you are in the Blender Development Fund, and you want to know, hey, where's my money going? It's also going here, but also going to bug fixes and lovely cat bread.
But also, if I may say, it's also interesting for people that are contributors, developers that want to help Blender make Blender the best software ever. If you look at the roadmap, it doesn't mean that okay, someone is taking care of this, so I can do something else. It also mean that, you know what, if they're working towards Alembic support for production files, maybe I can help in this part of the Alembic implementation, for instance, for custom properties. Or so it doesn't mean it's not. Is an invitation for people to join the already aligned and approved roadmap more than anything else.
Well said, sir. Next question, WWS3D. Hey, thanks for the great work. And we have the ability to create a stack of modifiers and adjust them and save it and use it on another object later without adding them again or linking them from another object. It could speed up workflow for me. Thanks. No, there is currently no way.
We can copy paste, no?
You can copy from one object to the other, but it's not like you can store them somewhere as a JSON file and then copy them.
You can because Blender can copy and paste across different Blender instances. So if you have your one Blender file with your modifier stack, save somewhere in a computer, that would work.
Yeah, you can, but then you have to where it's not like you can just save it as a preset. That's what we need, presets. And that's gonna solve a lot of issues. We don't have the concept of presets for this kind of stuff, unfortunately, yet. Next, questions. Tin. Are you reading the questions?
Yes, Pablo. And maybe you can open that image I sent you earlier today, Pablo. Hey, Pablo, could you elaborate on the choices behind the VSC roadmap? For instance, performance of playback, effects, scene strips, render, color management, proxies. That doesn't seem to be mentioned at all. That is not true, Wolting. Maybe not mentioned in the roadmap, but we have a project called VSC 2.0. Oh, that's the one.
Yes.
And so how is that not mentioned? It's mentioned there.
Oh,
but anyway, so yesterday I was having a meeting with Segi about that project, and we were trying to map what does it mean when you talk about performance? Why are you having performance there? When you say we want to improve the tools of the video sequence editor, at which moment you call it down and can move on to something else. So I tried to map it to these different use cases. First one is a basic tutorial. The other one is a more polishing, and the third one is different use case, which is people using time lapsing. So we mentioned performance, for instance. It's actually in the very first use case when you have someone like shoutout making a tutorial. Basically, he has every single tool he needs, but he wants to be able to quickly play back and reshuffle, edit with a decent performance. So that's where we're trying to ground the features that are listed in that task with a more, something that we can verify that people are actually using and then it's actually fulfilling its goal.
I think by far performance is the queen of feature requests for anybody in the sequences, no matter. And that's one of the things that I have with so many. It looks like there is every week there is a new open source video editor out there, and not all of them tackle performance first. So that is the thing that has to be. So Blender should tackle it first, and then even time lapse later. First make it fast and then make it look fast. And the tools, like the editing. So
just because we mentioned to clarify the choices, that's the reason why only a slice of the known features that we want to improve are mentioned, but we want to really first address this case scenarios for the studio here. And of course, color management. It's already working. Can be better, but it,
could be improved. But I couldn't care less about color management if my video is playing at 1 frame per second. I'd rather have it not looking fine, but playing at 24, 60, whatever, and then have a little preview with the right color management. I can frame by frame the frames I want to compare for color management, but the editing, let me make it fast.
It's weekly time. How do you do, Pablo?
Oh no. Well, I mean, I guess, well, it's, yeah, okay. So can we do one last question? It's here, it's on the screen. All right, and then we call it a day. So last one, let's do it super fast. David Dominguez 811. Hi Pablo, how are you doing? Great. And you, thank you for supporting the Blender Code Quest and being a bronze development fan supporter. I made a post on Right Click Select a couple days ago about Blender branding and some of my ideas for Eevee logos. I talk about it more in depth in the post, but it goes kind of like this. Blender should have a logo type for most of its products. Eevee, Cycles Render, Asset Manager, BAM, and it's less more professionalized and more popular. I completely understand that Blender doesn't have a lot of resources. I think it would be something awesome to have and would be making the Blender brand much better. It could be a call for content and release in a major release like 3.0. I would like to hear your thoughts about it. No, I don't. I think Eevee is not a product. Eevee is Blender. Cycles is a product. Cycles is in other software, so maybe it makes sense. But Eevee is part of Blender. You can just take Eevee out of Blender. So just use the Blender logo in that case. It doesn't make sense to separate it because it's its own. It's Blender. Then yeah, and also having a Pokemon name, it doesn't help. but in the which other parts of Blender, I think Blender should have a better branding like showing. Blender does pretty well actually. Since we're talking about branding, we haven't shared yet, but with this one we're gonna close the show because everybody that is making content out there, if you're making tutorials, if you're making any kind of content on YouTube or anywhere in Blender in general, making a book for example, and you wanna stamp your Blender contribution there, but without thinking, oh, is it right, is it wrong, what do I do? We introduced the community logo recently, which is a little badge that you can put to all of your all of the content that you make, and it's gonna help bring all of the Blender content together because there are thousands and thousands, I would say dozens of thousands of videos and tutorials on YouTube, and they all use a different Blender logo. They all use like whatever you want. Let's just go incognito and search for Blender, and you're gonna find, well, some don't even use a logo, which is also fine. Some here is like cropped there, cropped, no logo. This is, I don't even know what is that. Actually, we're reaching the ones where are super, not even too bad, but like look at this disaster of a Blender logo. This is not good. It's abused. This is borderline not good. This doesn't have the white socket in the background, which is not your fault because until recently the version that we had here didn't have the white socket. We added it last week, so not your fault. But yeah, it's just look at that. It's all over the place. So we thought, what about having a unified logo for it? Hopefully this will help. Let us know. It's in 3 colors available. It's orange on dark and on bright, and this should help. Imagine if you go to YouTube and you see all little Blender logos everywhere, all with the same Blender logo. That will look nice, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's a good move from Blender.
And show the next meeting, and here.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Let's crop it. You can leave. I'm gonna say goodbye here to people online. Bye. Thank you, Dalai.
Thank you, Pablo. Always a pleasure.
Ciao. All right, well, where is the clapping? Here's the clapping. All right. So yes, this is the Blender community logo. Let us know what you think about it. I think it's a good idea to have a little stamp, like a badge, like a bookmark, everywhere where you can unify this. We still have the screen there. So here is the chat. So I think it's a good idea. Let us know. Yeah, Mateo Cucato, I will add the community logo on my channel videos. Yay! Let's do it. Let's put it all over the place. Let's flood YouTube with the one brand to unify it all. It still says Blender. I still have the Blender logo, so it should be easy to... You just need to click on it or click in the light version, and then you're gonna get the massive big one that you can use everywhere. This is a nice way to close the amount of things that have been happening during this week. Thank you everybody for staying until the end of the show. I'm glad that it's still going, the live stream is still going. The new features, I still have to go back and make these videos. I want to gather a few more of the features so I can make a video and make it more meaningful instead of just a 30-second, 1-minute video with just the one feature. I hope this will make it nicer to follow and stay up to date with the Blender stuff. How's everybody doing in the chat? How is it? I like the community logos. Let's look at it here. Who else wants a game engine? I think everybody wants a game engine. There's no doubt about it. There's no SVG community logo. No, there's no SVG community. I could add it, but look at it's fairly big. How much bigger than this? It's huge. But yeah, I could add the SVG community logo. I will remind me. Leave a comment and I will do it on Monday when I get back to work. All right, everybody okay? Pablo, Big Snot, game engine is overrated in Blender. Yeah, that's a problem with the... I mean, having a game engine, yeah, it's nice, but if you're gonna have a bad game engine, why even having it at all? And it's just so much, right? I remember when I joined Blender for the first time in the 2000 in 2008. The first project I worked on, it was Yo Frankie, the game engine, and before that the Blender Studio was making Elephant's Dream open movie and Big Bug Bunny open movies, and going from making films which you just finish one day and you just deliver an mob file, an MP4, and it's over and it's done. You don't have to touch it anymore. It's there. A game? No, a game. You release a game and then you have, hey, it doesn't work on this and that and this graphics card and then this other one. And then, yeah, it just keeps evolving and you just have to keep fixing it and adding stuff. So that was like, gee, so much work. So yeah, that was a nice, as a nice memory. Somebody's asking, please add a transparent background logo. What do you mean? They're all transparent. If you click here in the logo, you get the Blender logo. Wait, this is this logo is mainly for Blender Foundation official projects, so that way we can tell them apart. I think it's a good decision to start using this for more official stuff. This is the community logo that you should use if you are making videos, tutorials, books. They all have transparent background. You can see here they're all transparent backgrounds, so you can use them with your own projects. Here are a few examples that I made, but it should be easy to use. If you're making a film, like a short film or a feature film, and you want to use Blender, you can use the word Blender, like made with Blender, or you can put the logo. But especially if you're actually next to other logos. If you have a bunch of logos of many companies or studios, then it's fine. But if you just put the one Blender logo among text, it looks weird. It looks like, was it made by Blender? And it can be confusing. So I think if you put it as text, made with Blender, that one also helps a lot. There is more info here how to use the logo and not, but when in doubt, use the community logo. All right, that is all. Let's crop it here. Crop it, chop it here. All right. Thank you again, everybody, for staying until the end. It's been an amazing week. We had 2.983.3. You should update. It's all in Steam, on Snap, and on the Windows Store with automatic updating, plus on Blender.org for the latest and greatest. And we had 2.90 beta and now 2.91 alpha. Please test the beta. Go get it from builder.blender.org. Get it, try it, test it. If you have an older computer, just try it there, see if it runs. If it doesn't run, and it should run, or like 2.80 run and 2.83 doesn't, then, or 2.90 doesn't, please report the issues. Go to the help menu, report the bug, because that's gonna make Blender more stable, and then there will be no need for a 2.90.1 or so that takes a lot of time from developers, and it makes it frustrating because we still don't have an automatic update, especially. So yes, is 2.90 beta stable? No, yet. No. Yes and no. I mean, it's not. It's beta since 2 days. So it was alpha before. So that is very unstable. And it should be considered unstable, but please test it. Even if it's unstable. If you don't have, we always say, yeah, please join the Blender Development Fund. But if you can't afford joining the Blender Development Fund or the Blender Cloud, you can also help by just testing Blender. Just put it through some stress testing. That helps a lot because it makes Blender stable, which is good for everybody. All right. I'm gonna go. Have a very nice weekend ahead. Try the latest Blender tricks. Make something awesome. 2.90 already has a splash author picked, so it's keeping a surprise, but it's someone you already know and love by what we know from the community. So I'm gonna leave you with that cliffhanger in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch your ear holes, because gracias. Obrigado, grazie, dankeschön, dankjewel, merci, arigato, tak. Next, see, I already said, grazie, tante grazie mille. Ci vediamo prossima settimana. That was Italian, I suck, sorry, bye. Hasta luego.